Good morning, I'm Chris with Everman Overland, and today I'm gonna hot rod the trailer. So you can see by looking at the trailer, and I've just got a very simple, I don't remember, it's the Arnold trailers, I don't know what it is, but it's just a very, very simple, very cheap, like landscaping type trailer. When I bought this, I had janky and it had a little bit less lift in the back. I got a little wahoo with the rear springs on the truck. We bought this simple little trailer because we moved out into the country and I didn't have a pickup truck, and for Home Depot runs and things like that, I picked up this little trailer. Well, you can see kind of by looking at it, like the trailer could be taller. I could get a little more aggressive drop hitch so that the trailer kind of sits level instead of sitting angled up like this. And with a single axle trailer, it doesn't really matter as much that the trailer isn't sitting level as it matters with a tandem like a dual or a triple axle trailer. You want the trailer to sit nice and flush and level so that the weight is equally distributed over all of the tires. With a single axle like this, not that big a deal. But me being me and not wanting to leave anything alone, not wanting to leave anything stock, right? I decided I want to put a lift kit on the trailer and convert it over to 6 lug. Right now, it's got the 5 lug 15-inch wheels, and it's a 5-on-4.5 bolt pattern, which is the same as like older Jeeps. Well, not old Jeeps, but like YJs and TJs all ran a 5-on-4.5. Two-wheel drive Toyota pickup trucks run a 5-on-4.5. There's lots of stuff that runs that. But what doesn't run 5-on-4.5 is janky. Janky's got 6-on-5.5 with just your standard, everybody's running this. Toyota's running it, Nissan's running it, whatever, very, very common for that 6 lug bolt pattern. So I'm going to convert, I'm actually going to replace the entire axle. I'm going to convert it over to 6 lug so that I can run the same wheels, tires, same bolt pattern, everything on the trailer is what I'm running on the truck. That way, if I decide for whatever reason I don't want to hold spare tires, be it 1, be it 2, on the trailer, like you can see, I've got 1 spare mounted to the side of it now. If I wanted to run it with no spares on it and I got a flat, I can use the tire hanging off the back of janky to put it on the trailer. Conversely, if I'm out off-roading something and we happen to have the trailer with us, because I'm also thinking about building a rack so I can put the roof tent on the trailer. There's a lot of different theoretical ideas going on here. But if I needed extra spares for the truck and I'm carrying extra spares on the trailer for the trailer, everything fits, right? So I could take one of the spares off of the trailer, put it on the truck. Heck, if I pop enough tires, I could even take one of the tires off the trailer, put it on the truck, and just leave the trailer behind wherever it happens to be. But I like the idea of having continuity in between the trailer and the truck so that everything fits, everything bolts up, everything's good to go. So I think I've ordered all the right parts. I ordered a whole complete axle, so I'm gonna replace the entire axle. And not only am I replacing the axle, but I'm gonna switch it from a spring under to a spring over so that the axle will actually be underneath the springs, and that should give me probably about 5 inches of lift on the trailer, and then I'll be running a 33-inch tire instead of, I don't know, whatever 195, 70, 15s or whatever the heck's on the trailer now. And that should lift it up so it's nice and level. In fact, it might even be a little bit too tall for the drop hitch that I've got now, but we're about to find out. And everybody, even though I've got a busted finger so it's really hard to cross them, everybody cross your fingers that the 33-inch tires end up fitting that trailer, because I don't know if they're gonna, but we're gonna find out. I'm gonna go ahead and get the trailer up onto the pad, get it unhooked so I can get to working on it. And you can see it's a little bit cloudy out here today. I'm trying to beat the rain. It's supposed to rain this afternoon, so I'm hoping I can get this done before it starts raining. It's like, what is it today? 23rd of January, I think, in 2026. The whole East Coast is covered under like 14 feet of ice, I think is what they're saying. And I don't know, it's like 55 degrees. I'm in shorts because I'm in Arizona, and I don't know, it doesn't really get cold here. So anyway, yeah, up on there. All right, so I've got the tire off. I've got the thing up here supported on jack stands, everything's safe, took the tire off, just to kind of give you a look at what the factory suspension looks like under here. So again, you can see here, this is just what they call an idler axle. There are no brakes on here, right? It's just a wheel bearing and a hub, and you go down the road and hopefully your truck's got enough brakes to stop the trailer. The way this suspension is set up, you've got a leaf spring here, and this is a spring under setup so that you can see the spring goes under the axle, okay? It bolts up underneath here. You've got these U-bolts that just kind of go around. There's a little bracket that holds everything together. Super easy. Couldn't be a simpler design, right? So what I'm going to do, along with replacing this axle, which this 5-lug axle is rated at 3,500 pounds, okay? The axle that I'm bringing in, the 6-lug axle, is rated at 5,000 pounds. Does that instantly mean that the trailer is rated at 5,000 instead of 3,500? I don't think so. For starters, we're using the same springs. So if these springs can only hold up 3,500 pounds, well, you don't want to put 5,000 pounds in there because you'll bend or break the springs, right? You don't want to do that. I don't know about the frame, the torsional integrity, and the floor, and I don't know what makes a trailer a 5,000 pound trailer instead of 3,500 pound trailer, other than the axle. And so maybe once I replace this 3,500 pound axle with a 5,000 pound axle, hey, now it's a 5,000 pound trailer. I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I don't really carry a whole lot of weight with me anyway. You can probably, if you search hard enough, you take this cap off right here, there's a little nut in here, and you take that off, you can take this whole hub off of this axle. You could then cross-reference these bearings that are inside of here and probably find yourself a 6-lug hub that would fit onto the spindle that's already on this axle. So you wouldn't have to replace the whole axle if you didn't want to. I felt like I wanted to replace everything, even if I could have found a hub. You know, a pair of hubs is probably going to be $100 or something like that. I got the whole axle, everything for, well, it was just about $400 shipped to my house, but it was like $230 or something like that, or $240 for the axle assembly, right? And then I got new U-bolts because whatever it is about these U-bolts, they don't like to live. So most of the time when you take the nuts off of these U-bolts, it kills them, or sometimes you have to cut the U-bolts off. So I got a new set of U-bolts, a new bracket, whatever, for the new axle. And then with shipping, it was like $430 or something like that, everything shipped to my house. So I could have done this a little less expensive. This axle that's underneath here is a straight axle. You can actually get a straight trailer axle, or you can get what's referred to as a cambered axle, where it's actually bowed like a rainbow, okay? If you have a straight axle like this, you can do this axle flip and you can lift your trailer all day long, easy, super easy. If you have a cambered axle, if the axle tube is cambered, if it's bent, then you're gonna have to, you could still do the axle flip, but you wouldn't just be able to take the axle itself and turn it over and use it that way. You would have to cut the spring perches off and have new spring perches welded on the top so that the axle doesn't flip over as it goes down, it just moves vertically down. And that's a little more involved, but it's still not crazy. You just weld on a couple of spring perches and you're done. But for my purposes, this is a straight axle. I could have used this axle if I didn't want to switch over to the 6-lug or didn't want to go through the hassle of doing the hubs. I just felt like it's just a bunch easier to go with the new axle, and the new axle being rated at 5,000 pounds instead of 3,500. It's got bigger bearings and it's got a bigger spindle. Like it's just, all of it's just kind of stronger, and I'm more comfortable doing it that way. You don't have to. You can save a little money doing it the other way, but I just like it better like this. So that's it. That's the way the suspension works. Like I say, we're going to unbolt this axle. I'm going to take this whole axle out, put a whole new one underneath it here. So let's get to ripping it apart. All right, so one of the first things we want to do before I take this old axle out, and you can see I've got the new axle sitting here, is I want to measure spring perch to spring perch and make sure that I got the right axle. Now, I've already measured the trailer before I ordered the axle, and they came up with some standard measurements and like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the axle I need, but let's make sure we got the right one. So I'm going to measure, you can see this is the spring perch right here, okay? What you want to do is you want to measure from the center of the spring perch to the center of the other spring perch. Well, sometimes it's hard. You got your tape measure out, like, is that the middle or is that the middle, whatever. So if you just measure from the leading edge to the leading edge on the other side, so in other words, the left side to the left side, or the right side to the right side, these brackets are the same size, so you're gonna get a correct measurement. So don't worry about, I think that's in the middle, and it looked, just measure edge to edge, and you'll be all right. All right, and on the axle, I've got 74 inches, and on the springs, I've got 74 inches. So we're good. And it looks like I have a really long thumb because that glove sticks out a little far. All right, and just so you can kind of see what we're doing here, you can see these U-bolts coming down around the axle, and this plate kind of holds everything. So we're gonna take these 4 nuts off right here on both sides, and this plate is gonna drop out, and now the axle will no longer be connected to the springs. Okay, so with the U-bolts and this bracket taken off, gets us to our next step. You can see that the spring perch is sitting on top of the spring, and here's the next trick. As we lift this up and off, now you can see there's this little nub, okay? Well, that little nub, if I can lift that up, see that there's a hole in the center of the spring perch right there, and that hole aligns on this little nub, right, so that it can't slide back and forth. So if the new axle is gonna go on the bottom of the spring, we need that little nub down here instead of up here. So I have to take this bolt out, there's a little nut on the bottom, but when I do that, all of this is gonna come apart. And typically, I would use some clamps or some vice grips or something to clamp that in, but I don't have any. So I'm gonna use this here adjustable wrench, and I'm gonna stick this over here like that, and I'm gonna tighten it up, and that way when I take this bolt out, the spring pack won't be able to fall apart. I hope. Wish me luck. All right, so I couldn't hold that pin steady without vice grips, and my vice grips are still in South Carolina, so I had to go next door. So everybody say, thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Eddie. So I had to borrow some vice grips. And as long as I was there, I got another adjustable wrench to hold the other side of the spring pack. So, yeah, hopefully we're where we need to be now. See? Just like that. All right, so I was just gonna go ahead and pull the axle out and whatever, nobody needs to see me pull the axle out. You just lift the axle up over the spring and you can push it out that way, right? But yeah, it doesn't fit. I don't know if you can see it from there. I'm just gonna pull one of the bolts out of the shackle and drop the whole spring down and whatever, and that'll be just fine. And then I'll go do the same thing on the other side. See, just like that. Easy, simple. These rattle and make a lot of noise. You ever wonder when you're going down and you hear a trailer and the clangity, clangity, clangity? Everything, clangity, clangity, clangity. As long as I'm in here, does everybody understand why leaf springs are mounted at one end and have this shackle at the other end? And if you do, just skip forward a few seconds. If you don't, here's why. You can see that this spring is arched, right? It's a portion of a circle. So, take this bolt out of here. So if this spring flattens out, it's going to get longer, right? And so you have to have one end be able to flex. So once this spring gets longer, because the spring is bouncing up and down, whether it gets shorter or longer, like if this curls up, you know, because the weight has been taken off of it, or you put weight onto it and it straightens out, one way or another, one end has to be able to move. And so you get this shackle at the end that allows everything to kind of change its size, if you will. You can also, like if this turns out, when I put this together, if this turns out to not be enough lift, and I need the thing to be a little bit taller, which I hope I don't, you can just get longer, like this fits in here like this from the factory. If these pieces here, if this was longer, that spring would sit down here, and you can see that the axle gets farther away from the body. So that's what a shackle lift does, all right? So now we can get the new U-bolts and the new plate. Like you can see this plate, this is gonna end up going up on top here, like that. These U-bolts go underneath the axle, like so. That goes under here, this goes under here, like this, right? So I've got the other side currently held up by the floor jack. I'm gonna see if I can do this just by hand. Let's see how strong the fat man is. And I can already see we're gonna have an issue. So these U-bolts, as they go in here, the threads on them, so the threads aren't long enough, and I'm running out. So I'm gonna have to put some washers in here. This isn't the perfect solution, right? Like I just put an extra couple washers in here just to kind of space that nut up so it didn't run out of threads. Everything is in solid and tight and good to go. Again, would I prefer that those washers weren't there? Yeah, I would prefer those washers weren't there, but it's really not the end of the world. So everything's in, everything's bolted up, it's ready to go. Now all we gotta do is jack it up a little bit higher, put the tires on, and hope they don't rub. So it's done. It's on. The tires are on there. They kind of fit, right? There's a dog. A dog. Making a video. You see the video? Yeah, you be good. You be good. Try and be good. So it's all put together. It's all on there. It rolls. The tires don't rub, but they're so close to rubbing that I have to tell you they don't rub. Like they're super, super close. There's just a little bit of room right here in between the tire and the fender. And I'm probably going to trim that little bit of the fender right here at the front and back, just to kind of open it up a little bit and give a little bit more room. And then on the inside, like up against the frame, they're real close, and the tires are real close to like the shackles and whatever for the springs. I'm just gonna, whatever, get on Amazon and order up some like 1/2-inch spacers, bolt them in there, and it should be fine. I don't like spacers. I do not like using spacers, and quite frankly, I wouldn't, even though it seems to be the thing these days. Everybody has bolt-on spacers on their car, and I don't know why people do it. But the studs on the new axle are like that long, and there's all kinds of room. It will be perfectly safe. So I'm just gonna put a couple of bolt-on spacers, or actually probably not even bolt-on spacers, just 1/2 inch, right? So there's, they'll just slip on, put the wheel back on there, and it'll work just fine. The ramp is a little steep when you put it down, but you know, but it still works as a ramp and it's fine. And actually when you look at it, and I'm gonna try and step out of your way a little bit, you can see that the trailer is now very level with the truck. As is bolted up, as everything's good to go. I think it's fantastic. I think I had this crazy idea and it kind of worked. I kind of zoomed in a little bit closer just so you can see how much room is in between the fender and the tire, and there's not much. There's only a little bit of room there. So like I say, I'm probably gonna trim a little bit of that off there and a little bit of this off back here. So I guess never mind the dog, but yeah, like I say, you can see there's just enough room. I could kind of, go ahead. I can kind of squeeze my hand in between there, dog. But I think with a little bit, I think with a little bit of trimming, it's gonna be okay. So from behind, you can see that they stick out a whole bunch farther than the factory tires did, which whatever, like, looks tough, it looks cool, whatever. Whatever name you wanna give it, I think it looks cool. I like it. And you can see we're real close to touching the shackle here. And we're real close in here, but I'm happy. I like it. It's good. All right, so that's it. As always, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys have any crazy ideas like this or projects that you want to work on, man, just figure it out and just order up some parts, and don't let people tell you that you're foolish, you're stupid, because a lot of people told me that I'm foolish and stupid, and they're probably right. But yo, look at my trailer. It's cool. That's it. Wish me luck that it all doesn't fall apart, because I'm the one that put it together. And thanks again. See you on the next one.